All right, you guys, welcome to this episode of More Than Medicine podcast. I'm super excited because this is our first interview of the podcast, and I'm interviewing a phenomenal individual, physician, friend, and somebody who I believe is just going to provide a ton of value on this episode. And so today we're going to be interviewing Dr. Clarence Lee. Dr. Clarence Lee is a physician entrepreneur. He's also a published author, a speaker. He is the CEO of Exhort Health, which is a company that he launched recently in the area, which he, I'm sure, will tell you all about. But, you know, I had the opportunity to meet him a few years ago, and it was just one of those things where I was on LinkedIn, and I just remember seeing, you know, a ton of value being offered and a ton of energy from Dr. Lee. And I was like, man, I just have to take the opportunity to just stop and say, who are you? What's going on? We have to connect. And ever since then, he and I have been great friends. But more importantly, with all the value that I was getting from what he was talking about on social media, I was like, man, we just got to connect. So I couldn't find anybody more fitting to be our first interview on the More Than Medicine podcast. So my brother, Dr. Clarence Lee, what's going on today, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. First one. Wow, I'm excited. I'm honored to be on, and obviously I'm very, very passionate about being more than medicine. And so, yeah, just looking to add a ton of value to the listeners and the viewers today.
Good deal. Well, you know, the goal of the podcast is to help physicians and physician entrepreneurs to be able to help them get the clarity, the confidence, the consistency that they need to either launch or continue to successfully grow their business. I think you and I both share a interest and a passion in this because we think it's just necessary when it comes to healthcare. So, but I want to start off just by sharing your story about your journey to physician entrepreneurship. So you mind kind of sharing that with us?
Yeah, I'll try to do the abbreviated version here. But let me see. So my mom was a nurse growing up. And she went through the hospital and found a lot of brothers who were physicians, so a lot of other minority physicians, to mentor me. And so I always had this idea that I was going to go into medicine. My mom was my biggest encourager. My first book is called Well, My Mom Says. I write about stories and conversations I had with her, but she really encouraged me to consider medicine as something, and she made it real for me by finding mentors. So medicine was the top of the top in my mind of the highest of the high of what was in my world, and I knew healthcare. So I said I wanted to be at the top. I wanted to be someone that had influence, that could do some positive change. So that was kind of the beginnings of me wanting to be a physician. Getting into medical school deemed pretty difficult for me. It took me 5 years to get in. My mom has an associate's degree. She's got an associate's in nursing, which was, I don't even think it's a thing. It is a thing now, but she didn't finish a 4-year degree. No one went to medical school. So I was kind of blazing a trail in my family. So it deemed pretty difficult for me. I didn't understand how difficult it was to get into medical school. Instead, I began to start to try. Finally, after doing my applications over and over again, finally got an opportunity to be in a post-bac program at Drexel University. Went through that program, started medical school, went through medical school. And whole idea in medical school, I wanted to be a surgeon. All of my mentors were surgeons, by the way. I forgot to mention that. General surgeons, orthopedic surgeons, neurosurgeons, ophthalmological surgeons. So all of my mentors that I saw growing up were surgeons. So I also had the vision of being a surgeon. Came out of medical school, started training in general surgery, and then realized that my mentors had did me a disservice because they only brought me in on the amazing case days. And I didn't see any of the call nights. I didn't see any of the complications. like I just saw the Super Bowls of their week. That's when they would call me in. So I got into the lifestyle, and that was kind of my first kind of eye opener that maybe what I thought medicine was going to be was a little different. Okay, so I did an intern year in general surgery. I joined the Air Force before medical school. I took a health profession scholarship program. Came out, went active duty, started my general surgery residency, did my intern year, said I'm not doing this. I went to my commander. I said, hey, I need to try something else. They were recruiting for flight surgeons at the time, which is an aerospace medicine specialist, where the doctor who flies jets and take care of pilots. They were recruiting for those. So the recruiter came in and said, hey, anybody want to learn how to fly a jet? And I was like, sign me up, you know? Wow. So came out of general surgery, decided to go to the School of Aerospace Medicine with the Air Force. And as a part of a flight surgeon or flight medicine, we also did occupational medicine, which is what I do in Exor Health, but we'll talk about that. So it was really me knowing what I didn't want, which was this lifestyle and this time in the hospital, and just not really conducive to being the father I wanted. And it was just the lifestyle was not what I loved operating. Like I loved doing procedures. I did not like anything else that came along with it. Flight medicine, on the other hand, was 9 to 5. You know, it was a kind of a more of a day, daytime job type of thing, took call minimally. And so it was better for my lifestyle. Did that in the Air Force for about 5 or 6 years, and then came out. I did not finish residency. So I wanted to make sure people understand, I did not go and finish my general surgery residency. I had practiced as a flight doc in the Air Force for 6 years, got a ton of experience in flight med, occupational medicine. I come out of the military now, and now I've got a medical license. I'm not board certified. Where do I go? How can I use my license? And this is when I realized the power of a medical license. I'm a doctor. Like many times in the doctor world, we size ourselves up. Oh, what fellowship did you go? What residency did you go with? What I have found, before I even finish my story, what I have found is there's no direct correlation between all of the little credentials and letters you got behind your name and financial and lifestyle that you want. I have not, it does not correlate. It has not correlated.
Hold up, because we will finish your story, but I want you to unpack that for a second. You said no matter how many of the, all the letters that come after basically MD, the fact that you become a medical doctor, you said doesn't add any lifestyle, or say that again?
I have not seen it correlate. So meaning have a direct relationship with a better lifestyle, more income, more financial stability. I have actually, to be completely honest, it's been the opposite for people that I have actually dealt with in my circles. The less credentials, the less letters they got behind their name, the more lifestyle, financial stability that they have had. And so I say that during my story is because I like to get that into doctors' brains, because sometimes we're checkmating in the wrong game. So instead of figuring out how we can create a business or create more income for ourselves, we're going to go checkmate with the MPH. We're going to go checkmate with the MHA. We're going to go get the hospital administration degree. We're going to go get the public health degree. We're going to go get the MBA. And I got an MBA too. So I'm not saying something I didn't do. I'm telling you what I learned now.
Right. And I think what you're saying is, look, it's not that the letters, don't add some value. We're not, let's not say that. But sometimes I think that we've been programmed to think that if we can just get more of those, it will somehow add, like you said, a lifestyle change or an income change. I mean, where do you think that came from? Why do you think most of us think this way?
it comes from academia, because I love my doctor's friends, and I hope everybody, you're just introducing, just meeting me. I love physicians. I'm a massive physician advocate, but
You
I'm
are
also
a
a physician
physician.
coach.
So.
I'm also a physician, and I'm also a physician coach. So I'm gonna, it might sound like you're getting coached
That's right.
when I'm talking. But we are very, very good box checkers. Doctors are excellent box checkers. We will check a box. We will stay up all night. We won't even sleep. We are some of the most dedicated, driven, focused individuals that I know, and will jump over whatever wall you put in front of us. We're going to climb it, scale it, get around. That's what we do. Yeah. So if you say, oh, well, to finish this residency, you got to do 7 years of this and do this many procedures, and oh, put the boxes, because the doctors are going to check them. Tell me what boxes I got to check. Check. We're really good at that. That game, when you're talking about more than medicine, when you're talking about building a lifestyle, we're talking about thinking outside the box, when you're talking about building wealth, financial independence, freedom, those games are not the same. So me box checking some credentials that my colleague is now going to size me up on and say, oh yeah, great. Oh, you did fellowship here. You did this here. Those aren't the boxes that we need to check for financial freedom. Those aren't the boxes that get checked for financial independence, right? So I do think we are like that, because we are excellent box checkers. So it's great for us to go into an academic program. You tell me how many classes I got to take, no problem. Go into a residency, tell me how many cases I got to do, how many hours I got to do, no problem. You tell me, okay, I got to do, no problem. Like, but in the world of entrepreneurship, in the world of business, it's not as easy as a box checking and tell me exactly, and then I'm going to get this amount as income, I'm going to get this salary, I'm going to get this. It's not that sort of certain, tit for tat. And so I tell, I encourage doctors and say, yes, continue your box checking, but just know, that box checking might not put more dollars in your pocket.
Well,
so what are we doing here?
It's interesting, man, because I think within the culture of medicine, within the hospital, within the clinic, I think there's a certain internal value, or how physicians may measure other physicians with the letters within, within the culture of physicians. But outside of that, once you get outside of those clinical walls, once you get outside of the walls of the hospital, people don't care.
No, they don't.
They want results. They want value. And we haven't been taught how to be able to do that. But I want to keep going with the story. So you come to this conclusion, like, dude, I've got value already with the degree with the medical degree that I have, not necessarily having finished residency.
Yeah. So while I was active duty, I did go to business school, went and got my MBA. And that was really what motivated me to do that. Was on one of my deployments, I was tasked with kind of spinning up a medical operation in a host country, integrating our medical assets with what the country had. And I realized that medical school had did me a massive disservice. I knew how to practice. I knew how to make diagnoses. I knew how to actually treat the patient, write the meds, write the right script. But as far as spinning up a medical operation from ground up, I had no idea. And I just and it's funny, but I tell people, where you get the syringes, man? Where you get the syringes?
Yeah.
Where you get the syringes? Where you get the needles at? Where you buy the drugs from? Where you get the X-ray machine? Where you get this stuff from? Like when I was in training, it was already there. Like everything showed up. I just say I need this drug, it's already showed up. What I need to push an IV, it already was there. But now I was tasked, and in the military, which is good, which is great, because I tell people, folks come out of the military, that brother did 12 people's jobs. 12 civilian jobs. I guarantee you that. So when I was there, I was doing everything. So they're very literal in the military. So it's like, oh, doc, you medical, right? Oh, of course, where the local hospital got the got the rattlesnake venom, anti-venom, like of course, like you the doctor, like you're supposed to know everything. Come on, man, like you're medical. Like if we need an air vac, like you can get the chopper here, right? Like you know how to do that, right?
Right.
So
right.
So it was all inclusive. So I learned so much. And so I said, hey, medical school did me a disservice. They taught me how to be an employee, fit into a system that was already built. But I'm a doctor and I don't know how to start a hospital. That's a problem.
It's interesting, man, because I was having a conversation the other day with another physician, and I remember coming out of residency, and starting to work in the sports medicine practice. And I remember having this mentality. How many other physicians have you heard say this? Like, I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to do no business. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to practice.
My patients.
I just want to practice. I just want to see my patients and let somebody else take care of the business, the administrative stuff. Just let them take care of that. And I can remember thinking that way. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about why we do that. And oftentimes I think, when I think back, I remember thinking like, that seems like a hassle. We never learned about it in medical school. And I just remember, like, I don't need something added to my plate to worry about. I'm already worried about, clinically trying to diagnose and treat the patient. I don't want to deal with all this other stuff. And so business becomes either something that we that we try to delegate out or just get off of our plate. Oftentimes that means sometimes we get taken advantage of and a whole lot of other things, but we don't have our eye on that ball. So who knows what's really going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you ever do want to have some level of autonomy and do your own thing, now the excuse is I don't have time to learn the business, or I don't know business. It is, at least now I feel like it's just not good enough. You know what I'm saying? Have you heard other physicians talk like this? Like, man, I just want to practice. I won't do anything else. I just want to practice. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. It's kind of like the way I viewed it. And my view changed significantly when I became an entrepreneur in the healthcare space. But it was kind of like, that was like a graduation, right? It's like you do all this scut work, you do all this stuff you don't want to do until you're like the attending, and now I don't have to do all this stuff. And so I made a post not too long ago. I was talking about how we, for the sake of efficiency, so we have to go back to and look at how the system is set up and how the system is run, and it encourages the efficiency of the physician. So it encourages that the physician to be efficient, meaning they want to take all tasks away from the physician. That's not going to have them see more patients, do more billing. So that leads to, well, doc, you check your patient in. I don't do no paperwork for my patient. What you talking about? I'm a doctor. Like, oh, but doc, you get the vitals for the patient. Vitals? I don't get vitals. Like, I'm a doctor. Like, oh, but wait a second. But when the patient needs an X-ray, doc, I mean, you shoot the X-ray, right? Shoot the X-ray.
Right.
I write the order, bro. Like, I write the order. I don't do the X-ray. Okay, but what about the PT you think you need? Do you help them do the therapy? No, I don't do physical therapy. Okay, cool. I understand. What about the billing? Like, after you do the visit, like you look at the bills, you make sure the billing is done. No, I don't do that either. I don't do no billing. Oh, but what about when you're trying to collect the money from the insurance? Well, no, I got a collections department for that. I don't do that either. Oh, but what about when the patient needs the MRI? And I don't do that either. What about when the patient is moving from room to room? I don't do that either. So I get after doctors a little bit in this area, because we are not the best physicians. We don't understand what everybody else is doing for us or how they do their job. It's hard for us to be advocates for the other members on the team if I have not sat with you and done your job.
Mm. Or at least have a
And
good
so,
understanding in terms
oh,
of how it works.
you need to be able to help them do their job as a doctor, because we're looked at as the leadership, because we are making the treatment decisions. So we're looked at as leaders. But when doctors cannot come in and help someone register, listen to what I'm telling y'all. That's why docs, y'all, we got to know our business. If the doctor cannot come in and help somebody with an insurance problem, if the doctor cannot come in and help the person get checked in, or the doctor cannot come in and help the x-ray tech help things out, if we cannot come in and be an advocate, if we just sit and say, I don't do that, then what is happening is going to continue to happen is the doctor is just going to be put in a clinical decision little box, and nobody's going to talk to you about anything else that actually makes it go. They're not going to talk to you about anything else. And so that is what's happening to us. And it's been under this little, oh, I don't do that. I don't do that. And yeah, you mentioned something about docs being taken advantage. I think the entire system takes advantage of physicians.
Yeah.
The entire system. So if you can have 5,000 doctors working for you, and you can't write one script or read one x-ray, I think we got a problem. And so that's why I encourage physicians, we need to exert our influence on all levels, not just clinical decision-making, also on operations, also on influence from pharmaceutical companies, also everybody that is in our world. We need to be influencing them, not vice versa. So, and we'll move on, but I love this topic because there should be no big pharma. Now, people are going to think this is sacrilegious, whatever. There should be no big pharma if the pharmaceutical company cannot get their product to the patient without me. How is it big pharma and not big doctor? But it has been flipped in our mind. Big pharma is influencing physicians when we don't understand it should be big doctor. So we should be dictating to the pharmaceutical, this is what I need. This is what I need you to put this drug. This is what I need to be in this drug. This is what I need y'all to do for us, for our patients, right? But it doesn't work like that. And so,
well, hold on, because now you didn't, like you said, we got to unpack this a little more, because part of what you're saying is, our personal responsibility as physicians really needs to expand. Our definition in terms of what our, job description really requires is really more than just clinical. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
It is
Absolutely.
a general understanding of what happens from patient walking in the door. I mean, and depending on really how much you're involved, and if you run a practice to some degree, even before they get to the door, how they get to the door, the relationships that expand beyond the doors, that bring them to the doors, right? But operationally, what happens at that, we don't learn this. The physicians who are watching this right now, I know everything, like we don't learn this. Like, how do we create or put in the minds of physicians this new definition and personal responsibility that you're talking about right now, so that we can start to take back control, which is basically what you're saying. We've relinquished control of healthcare, right?
Yep.
How do we encourage the doctor to take that responsibility of everything that you just mentioned? Hey, what does it look like when you have to do the x-ray? What does it look like when the person's checking in? What does it look like with, in terms of the billing? How do we do that?
I would begin by discussing and showing in plain view what all requires that MD. Okay, so what I mean by that, well, how can you have a lab at a clinic or a office or a hospital? Oh, you got to have a medical director. Oh, that medical director of that lab has to have an MD. Okay. Okay. Well, how can you have a medical assistant be credentialed or have passed off to do these different tests. Oh, they have to operate under a provider that's got an MD. Okay, well, how does the PA get to able to do what they have to come under supervision of a physician? Well, how is the RN able to do what they do? Oh, they're following the orders of the physician. Wait, how does a medical corporation get in place? How do you even incorporate in a state to practice medicine? Oh, somebody has to have an MD to start a medical group that's a medical corporation. It's for us to understand how everybody in the system is working underneath us, but we're not influencing them. But you can't have that lab without a doctor. And so if you understand how much you are required for stuff to go, you think you don't have anything to do with those x-rays that are being shot. But there's your radiological supervisor who is a doctor, who is looking at the exposures on those films that are being taken at that center that's taking the films. So it's easy for us to say, hey, this stuff doesn't have anything to do with us. But when you actually track the responsibility and you track how the governing bodies look at things. So who is governing the labs? Okay, the organization that governs the labs is going to look at the medical director as responsible for what's going on at that lab. Oh, but I don't draw no blood. Oh, okay. Oh, but I didn't run the test. Okay. Because there's a medical director on there that is responsible. So I think the beginning is really seeing, for me, it was seeing what I could do with the MD. So I had a medical license to have an MD. Oh, wait a second. I can start a medical group. Oh, wait a second. I don't have to be board certified in any specialty. I can start a medical group with my medical license and spin up an ortho group with the orthopod that's board certified. I can own the group and then spin an urgent care. I could do that just with my license. Doc, we're not thinking on, and I say think on the tycoon level, and it might sound bad, people, however you feel about it. Think on the tycoon level and run your entire industry. So it's not just medicine, it is healthcare. So if I can get physicians to start looking at healthcare as their responsibility, now I'm talking to insurance companies and I'm applying pressure to insurance companies about what their policies have in place. And if they're not getting it right, well, I'm not taking it. Well, if the patient can't use it, insurance is going to get it right now. And that's what we don't see, that we have that much power because we have gone into employees but that's the beginning of it.
Well, we just don't see the amount of leverage that we have. We carry the whole system. The system does not run without us.
What's a hospital without a doctor?
Yeah, it ain't no hospital. It's a hotel. A hospital without a doctor is a hotel. With sick people in it. But what I remember a friend said, it's like we're like the cruise ship that's carrying all the other ships. Like we run the whole thing, but we're carrying pharma, we're carrying hospitals, we're carrying medical device companies, and they don't float without us really pulling it. So we've lost the amount of autonomy, ownership, and decision making when it comes to healthcare. But so let's get back to what you were saying. So you get to this place where you're like, okay, well, you didn't get you kind of out on your own now.
Yeah. So for me, I get in, I realize, hey, I need some more basic knowledge about how to start some institutions. I want to know how to start a hospital. I'm an MD. I don't know how to do this. I go to business school. I study entrepreneurship. because I want to know how to build stuff ground up. How do you start it from scratch? I come out of the military, not not board certified, didn't finish my residency. What can I do? I started looking for opportunities, and I began to do occupational medicine, which was the very thing I was doing in the Air Force. But what I was doing in the Air Force was actually on steroids, because I was going out doing the shop visits, putting the surveillance programs in place, taking the noise samples, the specimen samples, all the toxins that were in the place. I was out there doing that work. It's not as we don't do that as much in the civilian world. So I come out and I'm trained on steroids basically for Ahmed. I'm ready to do everything. I'm ready to go and look at and do safety recommendations in different shops and all this stuff. And so I start doing occupational medicine and seeing a lot of workers' comp. And that's when I began to learn. And so workers' comp and Ahmed is probably as business to business as medicine gets, because your clients are actually businesses. And so in an Ahmed practice, you go out and build relationships with businesses, and you take care of their health related needs for their workers. Hey, your worker gets injured, I got you. You need a pre-employment physical, I got you. Your worker needs a vaccination, I got you. They need any sort of any medical needs you need, an Ahmed, that's what the Ahmed practices do. So I started working with a big group that doesn't exist anymore. They got acquired, and I learned the business. And I'll tell this story, and then I started the group that I was a part of was actually physician led, and it was pro physician big time. And so the physicians, the medical directors at each site were actually required to report on the financials. And so I began to learn how to read financials, medical financials, learn the ins and outs of how to collect and accounts receivable and revenue cycle management, and what are some of the kind of revenue drivers in a medical practice. And I saw one figure that burned, etched in my brain. I was working at one outpatient Ahmed clinic, and we were doing $6 million a year, and we were running at about, EBITDA was about 45%. No one ever told me in medical school that one outpatient facility could do that sort of revenue. I was only talked to in a sense of annual salary, what I can expect my annual salary to be.
Just your piece of the pie, just what was coming to you, not coming to the facility.
Oh no. I wasn't no, none of that. None of that was shared with me. If someone had told me one time that I could generate over $5 million with one outpatient, not doing any surgeries, I was looking at surgery because they're like, oh wow, you're gonna earn this, you're gonna do this. It was all about annual salary, was all the conversation. It wasn't about value creation. It wasn't about revenue generation. But when I got out into this Ahmed world, I began to see that, oh, this is a revenue generation game. And I can generate revenue. And oh, I can actually have the people that are working underneath me, I can actually earn on referrals. So it's like, it's the whole system. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I can set up, I got the office had PT, chiro, everything that the patient needed was right there. And it was on the revenue was being generated from every line. So in one patient visit, all this stuff is happening already. Okay. In one patient visit, you might write a drug. Okay. Well, if doctors aren't thinking business, you're not going to know how much that drug costs. You're not going to know how much the patient is paying for the drug if you don't think business, but you're writing the drug.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think that has nothing to do with you, it does have a lot to do with you, because that actual drug that you're writing, there could be a price tag on it that's a barrier to the patient. But if you think it has nothing to do with you, you're not talking to the pharmaceutical companies. Well, wait a second. I can have my own pharmacy. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
did somebody say a doctor could have a pharmacy? Yeah. If I write the drugs, I can make the drugs, I can have a pharmacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's who says that? Who says I can't do that? You know? So my point with that is, it's to let physicians see how much influence you have, and there's nothing wrong with having your influence on the entire system, because I feel that physicians at the lead, that the patients are going to come out better
Mm-hmm.
if the physicians come out better. Like the patients actually suffer when the physicians get burnt out.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
You know, and so
I think we need doctors at every level, man. I think,
oh, for sure.
I think there are, you know, I think there are different types of physicians. And what I mean by that is like, you know, like, for example, like my brother, like he's strictly clinical. My brother really doesn't want to do any administrative stuff. I mean, he's an anesthesiologist. He wants to go in, put his patient to sleep, wake back up, go home. And like, that's good for him. Right. But we need people at the clinical level. We need people at the chief level, meaning the chief medical officer, chief operations, like, you know, so those docs are at the bedside, but they're in the boardroom. We need docs, you know, entrepreneurs. We need, you know, physician entrepreneurs who are out there from a healthcare perspective, you know, running practices. We need people at every single level, because I do believe to some degree there will be clinical physicians who are just, they're not going to have an interest in what we're talking about right now. Like I really just want to work. But for the ones that do have an interest and are clinical and are feeling like, yo, that's like things need to change, or I'm seeing these glaring problems that aren't, you know, happen that we need to be able to solve. Those people are probably just a tad bit out of position. And if we can position them a little better to be able to solve the problems that they can see, redefine how they see physician in their head. So it's not just clinical, but it is operations, and it is everything that you're saying right now. We can start to have clinics, you know, physicians at every level where things need to change along healthcare.
And it's what is happening. It's already happening. It's already happening in the hospital. So physicians are like, oh, you know, we can't earn off of the labs that we order and the drugs that we write, and it's like taboo for us to even, where the hospital is.
Yeah.
You think the hospital is not making money off of every drug you write, every therapy, every imaging study you write, every lab that you write? You think the hospital is not structured in a way where they're going to capture that revenue?
Yeah, on everything that you do. Yeah.
So why can't the doctor own the hospital?
Yeah.
You know, and so I'll throw this out there before we move on. Many of the you know, people talk about, what about Stark's Law and all these other things? Many of those policies and regulations, and people say, oh, these things are law. Yes, but they're structures that are put in place by the payer. So if you don't have the direct relationship with the payment for your services, meaning as the physician, you don't have a direct relationship with the actual patient, you've got a relationship with a payer who's got a relationship with the patient. So I tell doctors, oh, doctor, that's my patient. Oh, that's your patient. I thought that was Blue Cross Blue Shield's patient. Because Blue Cross Blue Shield is who's paying you. Blue Cross Blue Shield is going to tell you what you can and cannot do for that patient. Oh, but that's your patient. No. That's not your patient.
They're going to tell you how much they're going to tell you how much you get paid for seeing that patient.
Oh yeah, that's Aetna's patient. That's United Healthcare's patient, right? So as docs, because we don't have that direct dollar exchange with the actual patient, the patient has a relationship with the insurer who is paying. So if the insurance company now will dictate to you what you can and cannot do if you want to take our dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So Medicare, Medicaid, which is, they're going to tell you what you can and cannot do if you're going to take Medicare dollars. Well, I'm going to tell you, this is what you ain't going to do if you're going to take our dollars.
Yeah.
Right. But we don't understand how much influence we have and how much power we have. And we don't, to tell a doctor they don't have to take insurance is like,
yeah.
How could I even do that?
That's a whole nother conversation, man. So tell us how you transitioned from, you're at this Ahmed place, you've learned the business, you're kind of learning this, you go from there to where you are now, which is in your office, in your place at Exhort Health. What does that look like?
So for me, I'll tell a quick, I won't say any names because I'm not really trying. I just want you guys to get the concepts.
Yeah.
But what I noticed during the pandemic specifically was I saw corporations laying doctors off, doctors going on unemployment, medical staff being cut. During the middle of a global pandemic, and we have providers that aren't in work; they're not working. And so I saw a lot of the forward-facing communication in corporations. Oh, this is what we have to do. We have to contract. Patients can't come in. We're not seeing as many. I can't. We got to let you go. We got to let you go. We got to let you go. All the while I'm looking at P&L statements, I understand profit and loss statements and balance sheets. So if you corporations are telling me you got to cut the doctor, you got to cut these people, but your profits is still strong. How that work? Mm-hmm. So I saw organizations with forward-facing communication. Hey, we have to do this, have to contract, but also profit and loss statements that are still very strong. Mm-hmm. And so I said, hey, you know what? I don't think I can be a player in the system. I'm going to disrupt and influence this now. Mm-hmm. I was getting burnt out. And I said, something's got to change. Either I'm going to leave medicine or I'm going to do it my way. And so it was really because I had already built a couple other businesses. Like I was already doing speaking. I'd already written books. I was already had online courses. I was already making money other ways. And we're smart. So doctors are smart. Like, who says I can't go and learn something else? Like I can go figure something else out. Like I figured out medical school. Like I can go figure something else out. So I was really at a brink of, I was thinking about leaving medicine. And then I said, hey, well, you know what? I feel like God really put me here for reasons. He's got me in this space for a reason. Let me use this. Let me use this to make some change. And so that's where the concept of Exhort Health came from. I said, hey, what if an organization is physician-led, provider-focused, patient-centered? What would that look like if an employer actually was aligned with the patient that was with the people that are actually in the room with the patient? And so that's where Exhort Health came. And my vision for Exhort Health is really to be that change that healthcare needs, but in a physician leadership standpoint, and not really playing a fair, or I don't say playing fair, but not really playing the game how everyone else is playing the game. And so the majority of our practice is cash. I do take insurance, but the majority of it is cash because I want to build a relationship with the actual patient. I want the patient to have a relationship with me. I don't want anybody in between me and the patient. And the big vision for Exhort Health is, as we become more and more profitable, for Exhort Health to buy more and more assets so that our members, because we have a membership, our membership then will offer more offerings to the patient. So that means, okay, you're Exhort Health member. Okay, you got your urgent care needs taken care of, you're a member. Okay, you got your primary care taken care of, you're a member. Okay, you need PT, you need imaging, you need specialists. I will acquire more and more assets so that Exhort Health can offer all of the healthcare needs that the patient needs, eventually for hospitals. So we're talking 10 years down,
Right.
but I didn't start playing this game to not completely disrupt how things. So eventually Exhort Health will be the insurance.
Yeah.
And so my vision is to align the payer and the provider of care. And I hadn't gotten to this yet, but this is really the 50,000 foot where I'll land the plane is our current system. The doctor or the practice or the hospital bills someone external to them. So the only incentive is to do more, bill more, charge more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not billing myself. I'm not paying for it. You paying for it. So I'm about to do, I'm about to do all this stuff. So the incentive in the fee for service is do more, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that is only going to be set up when I'm billing someone that's not the provider. But
Mm-hmm.
when you align the payer and the provider, which, Kaiser is a very close example. You've got Intermountain Healthcare, which is out in Utah. They're very similar, but where the insurance actually owns the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So now I got to do the most with the insurance dollars that come in because I'm actually paying for the care that gets utilized too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think for me, that's the big 50,000 foot, you land the plane. Why can't a doctor have an insurance company? Why can't doctors come together and create insurance companies? Well, it's already been done,
Mm-hmm.
but it's creating this all system so that all the dollars go to support the system that's delivering the care instead of the dollars going to an insurance company who's going to shave off their admin, who's going to shave off their profit, and then are going to pay out the claims with what's left. What about if all the dollars go right into the healthcare system and it actually supports keeping the lights on at the hospital?
Yeah. 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 We got a middleman that unfortunately, and I can't think of any other industry where the client, AKA patient, has a barrier to entry, has this invisible barrier to entry to the person that they're actually receiving the service from. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, you can't come into the office unless you've got this middleman kind of thing. And obviously just the culture of healthcare has convinced people that that thing called the insurance card is bringing a tremendous amount of value to them. Let's talk about the entrepreneurship portion, man, because I can't help but hear how a solution to a problem was birthed out of a pain and a problem that existed in you.
Yes.
Talk about that just a little bit. I mean, because there is no Exhort Health if you don't recognize the burnout, if you don't see that there's a better way to do things. And oftentimes I think physicians may want to do something else. They may be feeling burnt out, but they don't really know what to do. Can you tell us a little bit about like that whole process of taking the past pain or a problem that you've recognized and turn it into a potential solution with the level of proficiencies that you had gained knowledge on over time?
Yeah. So I'll just say this out the gate. The entrepreneurial world is not in the world of the startups is not a stable environment. It's very fluctuating. It's ups and downs. It's good weeks. It's bad weeks. It's rocky times. It's scary time. So, you know, the entrepreneur, what I've been learning about entrepreneurship is that you got to be ready for a roller coaster.
Mhm.
And if you are trying to disrupt something and do something different, well, there's a lot of people making money the way things are done right now.
Mhm.
You know, and so you really have to be up for that challenge. And whenever you're trying to do anything new or create buzz or start something from scratch, it is a very difficult road. So I will say that. And so, you know, one of the things that, you know, scares or dissuades a lot of people from going this route is that uncertainty, is that rocky road, is that kind of, hey, I don't know what's going to happen, you know. But I would say a word of encouragement is, you know, you have to understand, you know, why you want to do what you want to do.
Mhm.
And why is this important? So a lot of people talk about, oh, well, you know, I want to start this because, you know, you got to know your why and why you want to get something going. And I really believe that even more so being off on as my own working for myself and not working for anybody else is that you really have to be clear on why you want to do what you want to do and why this sort of work is important to you because it's going to be if it's gonna be, and I tell people this, but you know, this entrepreneur life has been the, you know, the hardest thing I've done.
Mhm.
And people say, "Oh, medical school was so yeah, it's hard. Try go out and start something on your own and go try that too." You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so it is a difficult road, but I would encourage folks when your why is big enough, when you know why you're doing what you want to do, when it's significant work to you, and you believe in it, you're able to go out and take those meetings and explain your value proposition in such a way with enough certainty that you can convince people. But if you are not sure, if you ain't clear, if you are not driven, then it's like you're the next spam email that kind of came in, and why am I going to pay attention to you? You know, so I think physicians really have to get um they're going to have to get tired enough. You know, they're
Mm.
going to have to get tired enough. And when you're tired of being tired, um and you're willing to take that risk, you can do it. I am doing it. You
Mhm.
can do it.
Yeah.
How are you going to fight these big companies? Really easy. Really easy. So I'll tell you how I do it. Uh, the doctors don't go to the business meetings,
Mm.
but when the organization is owned by a doctor, the doctor shows up. It's a little different.
Yeah.
If the doctor can talk business and the doctor is making the treatment decisions and the doctor understands the cost of his treatment, if he understands the business side of how his decision making is affecting a business, if the doctor understands that, the company doesn't need to talk to anybody else except for the doctor. But when the
Mhm.
doctor doesn't understand the business,
Mm.
they don't want to
Control.
talk to you.
Control gets lost again.
Yeah.
Um,
So I tell folks, I just encourage docs, you can do this. We can push back. It's just, but it takes some significant amount of persuasion, internal persuasion to want to change this. And I feel like we owe this to our patients. We owe this to our patients to influence the entire system.
mhm.
Because if we stay hands off, the system is going to run us into the ground and the patient outcomes are going to get worse.
What do you think is the physician? You got a physician out there. He's probably burnt out, starting to think, man, I think I want to do something. What do you think is his greatest challenge to being an entrepreneur, to getting started?
So for
So
doctors,
so 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 real quick, I heard a recent stat the other day, 60% of physicians are burned out. 60.
Yeah.
That means the majority of physicians are burned out, meaning they're going to work, they lack meaning in what they're doing. They, and they feel like they're not having impact and they're just unfulfilled in what they do.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a significant amount of those folks who are thinking about something else. What's their greatest challenge getting started?
Is belief that they can do it. It's the biggest challenge, is belief in our ability to do it. And I just encourage docs, if you got through medical school and a residency, brother, you got what it takes.
Sister, all of y'all. Yes.
You got what it takes.
Yeah, certainly.
If you're going to stay up all night and not sleep and do it, if you're willing to put that same energy, because the carrot at the end, right, is big to us. The medical students coming through, the carrot at the end is huge. The residents coming through, I'm going to be attending one day. My check's about to get big. I'm about to be able to do all this stuff. The carrot is huge, and we believe in it. We believe in it so much we don't even sleep for days. We believe in it. And so that's what I'm saying, is if you have this vision or what you want to create or this path you have to believe in it just as much and have just as much certainty as you did was if you finished that residency, you were going to get this job and it was going to pay you this. You were certain. You were so certain you didn't even think about what they asked you to do. What'd you say? Q2 call. Well, man, yeah, no problem.
Man.
No problem.
What
you say?
Did some stuff, dude. You couldn't.
What'd you say? Office procedures post call. What'd you say?
Listen.
Oh, I got it. I got you. So I'm saying we have to have that same level of certainty with the vision that we want to create. So that's the biggest thing, is like letting the docs know that you do have what it takes. Every doctor has entrepreneurial in them all day long. You have what it takes. You just got to put that same focus and energy and drive. It's going to take just as much and probably more. So I'm just still keep it real with you. But if you bring that same energy and you're willing to do that same sort of effort, it's going to come, you're coming out gravy on the other side.
Yeah, but the reward on the other end is going to be just, different. I mean, we've already seen how this is going to play out right now, right? We worked all this stuff to get here, and now we're wondering, like, man, how did I do all this, put all this time, money, effort, and energy into this, and this is what I got? And it's a hard pill to swallow. I get, what I'm saying? I get that. But if you're talking about putting some more work in to have a much different outcome, this is figure outable. You know what I'm saying? Like we can figure this thing out if we went through med school. So with that in mind, man, you have a mission to be able to help create physician entrepreneurs, to be able to help physician entrepreneurs with the expertise that you've had in terms of personal branding, being able to start a business, run a business. Share with us what it is that you're working on, because I know it's an exciting, a project that you're excited about. I'm excited about. You and I will probably be, connecting and collaborating on this. But share with the physicians how you can help them in this entrepreneurial space if they're thinking about, hey man, it might be time to start doing something different. Yeah.
So the beginning of entrepreneurship for me was really around personal branding. So it was really around me monetizing my story. So me deciding, hey, I want to encourage people. How do I do that? How do I structure and package that? And so building a personal brand and then building a business on my expertise of my brand was really the first few businesses that I built. And so in that, I was able then, because I was making revenue in other ways, it opened up my willingness to push back with some things in the practice of medicine that I was working for. Because I was my gosh, now I'm earning. So now you're a little, $1,500 a shift overnight. It ain't looking that good when I'm making $10K a speech. So it ain't hitting the same no more.
That's right.
So I help docs. It is my vision to help physicians build personal brands, right? And it doesn't have, I don't speak on anything medical. Like now actually, I used to say that, but now since I'm in this healthcare entrepreneur world, I am speaking on healthcare entrepreneurship. So I've booked like 3 gigs that about healthcare entrepreneurship now. So I used to didn't speak about anything medical, meaning like, most doctors say, oh, I'm going to go talk about the management of diabetes and things like that. I never did that. I just went and told my story, right? And I built a business. I wrote books. I created online courses. So now, I help doctors build these sort of lifestyle businesses, meaning let's deal with what are you passionate about? Let's turn that passion into a profit. Like, what do you love to do? You like to coach, you like to deal with this, you like to build paper airplanes, or what you like to do, let me help you kind of monitor. Let me turn you into the paper airplane doc, okay, and find your niche, okay, and then put out content and monetize that. And so that's what I help folks do now. And so, so that I do that through my coaching program. And then next year, I'm doing an in-person mastermind. It's called DocStar Live. I'm going to be bringing physicians in. I'm going to bring some marketing folks in to help doctors understand, hey, how do you navigate the social media space? How do you build a brand? How do you begin to create content? And then how do you monetize that? And so that's what I'm helping docs do now. And my hope with that is just to build leverage within the physician. So if you're earning multiple ways, now you have a little more leverage. So now you can negotiate a little different on some of those contracts. Right now, I'm negotiating a little different. I'm saying yes to less things and no to more things. And so that's my passion. Is as I've went off on this journey, I've had lots of docs come and ask me, how are you doing this? What are you doing? How can I do this too? And so I'm like, okay, let me create something that I can teach and add a ton of value. Because, if I can add a ton of value and I teach you how to fish right now, you can just go out and fish, right? You can go out and fish and go out and get it yourself.
The other cool part about that is it is a great introduction into entrepreneurship. Without really any risk, without
very
much
little
risk,
overhead,
without very little overhead. It's something that what you mentioned, be able to write a book, start telling your story, and stuff like that, be able to monetize the brand. As we land this plane, man, what is something that you can share? Again, the goal is to be able to help the physician and physician entrepreneurs. What is something that you can leave them with to be encouraged in this space, particularly that doc who feels like, man, I feel like there's something else out there for me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And trying to get started in that. What's something that you can leave them with?
Yeah, I would just encourage folks twofold. In your current role, learn what everyone else is doing for you. And it seems like a not important thing, but learn what everyone else is doing. Because if you cannot practice your profession without everyone else, then you can't make a decision. So, but if you understand what everyone else is doing, you empower yourself a lot more. So that's one, because in order to transform how you practice in medicine, you got to transform how you're seeing it. So you've got to see it from different angles. What is this person doing? What is this person doing? What's this person doing for me? And that's not just for you. That's also, you're able to help them more. If I understand what they're doing better, I can help them more. And then the last thing is, I really do believe that if you have that as a vision in your mind, because you said every doc might not have that. If you have that as a vision, then that is the intention for your life. You have the capacity to create that, because everybody doesn't have that as a vision. But if you have it as a vision, and that is what you have in your mind and what you see for yourself, then you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your patients to take the risk, jump out and go for it. Is it going to be easy? No. Is it going to be hard? Absolutely. Probably going to be the hardest thing you ever did, but it's also going to be the most rewarding, right? And this is for us right now. We need to begin to blaze a trail for these baby docs that are coming behind us. We need to begin to blaze a trail for them and empower them and encourage them. Because here's the deal. We're losing a doc a day to suicide. It's happening. It's happening. And you say, well, why? Well, why is this happening? But why are doctors killing themselves? We have a responsibility to make sure we're protecting the people that are coming behind us. Okay. And so I think entrepreneurship, I think personal development, personal empowerment, I think that is a path for us to do that. And so, yeah, I would just tell folks, hey, it's worth it. It's worth the ride. It's a wild ride, but it's worth it. And you got what it takes.
Awesome, man. Well, Dr. Lee, man, I appreciate your, your time today. I appreciate the value that you gave him. Part of what I want to do here is just the interviews itself will help doctors see, like, you know what, this is possible. Like we've got an example of other physicians who have branched out of just the strictly clinical space. The ones who are feeling like, oh man, I need to do something else. I need to get in the ownership space. I need to break free. I mean, literally, a lot of people think I need to break free from the chains of clinical medicine. And if you're thinking that, like you said, you have to do something. And I want people to just get an example. Like, you know what? If this dude is doing it, if Dr. Brad is doing it, if some of these other people are doing it, the more we can actually expose people to the reality that it does exist, I think the more it'll become like, okay, yeah, like I think I can do it as well. So, man, Thank you for serving as an example. You mind sharing with them where they can find you, where they can get information? By the way, if you don't follow this man, make sure you do it at the very least. He's got a ton of great value that he offers on social media, but where can they find you? Yeah, so ClarenceLeeJr.com is my main website. At Dr. Clarence Lee Jr. is my social media handles. And then DocStarLive.com is the website for DocStar. But if you connect with me on ClarenceLeeJr.com and get into my world, I can definitely keep you updated on what all things we're doing physician entrepreneurship. Awesome. Dr. Lee, appreciate you, brother. It's a good time. Thank you. You bet.